Section 2.4, Solving equations with a variable on each side. First, we're going to solve this equation by moving the variables. You always want to move the variables before you move the constants. I need to move the 3k on the left side to go with the 5k, so I'm going to subtract 3k from both sides. Bring down the 2. 5k minus 3k is positive 2k. The 3k on the right goes away, so you bring down that minus 6 is the same thing as a negative 6. Now we want to move our constants. So you subtract 2 on both sides. We get 2k is equal to negative 6 and negative 2. When the signs are the same, we add and get a negative 8. Divide both sides by 2. Negative 8 divided by positive 2 is a negative 4. Okay, now to check, I'm going to do the t-bar check. So this time, everywhere I see k, I'm going to plug in a negative 4. And because I'm multiplying times 5, I'm going to enclose it in parentheses. On the left side of my t sign, I am going to use the order of operations, so I'm going to multiply first, so I bring down the 2. Positive 5 times a negative 4 is a negative 20, or we write it as a minus 20. Positive 2 and a negative 20 is a negative 18. Now, look on the right side of the t-bar. I'm going to multiply. 3 times negative 4 is a negative 12. Bring down the minus 6. Negative 12 and negative 6 is a negative 18. And if you'll notice, the left side equals the right side, so it checks. Example 1b. I'm going to clear my fractions by multiplying each term by the least common denominator. Now, this x over 2, it's the same thing as 1/2 x. If you want to rewrite it as 1/2 x, that's fine. Or if you want to leave it as x over 2, that's fine too. I need to turn 1 into a fraction, so I'm going to put it 1 over 1. And I need to put 6 into a fraction, so I'm going to put it 6 over 1. Now I'm going to clear my fractions by multiplying each term by the least common denominator. My least common denominator is 4. So don't forget to multiply every fraction, every single term by 4. 2 goes into 4 2 times. 2 times 1x is 2x. Plus 4 times 1 is 4, because there's nothing to cancel. 4 goes into 4 one time. 1 times 1x is 1x. Minus 6 times 4 is 24. Now I'm going to subtract 1x on both sides. 2x minus 1x is 1x, or I can just say x. That's a negative 24. Then I'm going to subtract 4 on both sides. Negative 24 and a negative 4, when the signs are the same, I add and get a negative 28. To check this, negative 28 over 2 plus 1, I'll make my t-bar, 1/4 times a negative 28 over 1 minus 6. Negative 28 over 2, that's a negative 14 plus 1, which is negative 13. On the right side, I'm going to cross reduce. 4 goes into negative 28, negative 7. Negative 7 times 1 is a negative 7. Bring down the minus 6. Negative 7 and a negative 6 is a negative 13, so it checks. Example 1c, I'm going to clear my fractions by multiplying each term by 10, which is the same thing as moving the decimal to the end. So that's 13x is equal to 33x plus 28. Now, normally I would move the 13x with the 33x, because to do that you would avoid having a negative number. However, because that 13x is sitting over there all by itself, you have to move the 33x on the other side. Positive 13 and a negative 33. When the signs are different, we subtract and get a negative 20x is equal to 28. Divide both sides by negative 20. Positive 28 divided by negative 20 is a negative. Now, because the original problem is in decimal, I need to give it in decimal, so I'm going to go to the side and divide 20 into 28. Goes one time. So I've got to add a decimal and a 0. Bring down the 0. 20 goes into 84 times, so my answer is 1.4. So my final answer is negative 1.4. Example 2a, I have to first do the distributive property. So 6 times 5 is 30m, minus 6 times 3 is 18, now do this distributive property here, 1/3 times 24m. Now, that is if you need to go to the side and multiply, that's 1/3 times 24 over 1, cross reduce, 3 goes into 24 8 times, so that's 8m. If you can do that in your head, that is fine. If you need to go to the side margin and multiply it, that's fine too. 1/3 times 12, so that's 1 over 3 times 12 over 1. 3 goes in 12 4 times, so that turns into 4, so plus 4. Now I am going to subtract the 8m on both sides. 30m minus 8m is 22m. Bring down the minus 18, bring down the equals, and bring down the 4. Now I'm going to add 18 on both sides. So that's 22m is equal to 18 plus 4 is 22. Divide both sides by 22. And you get m is equal to 1. Let's check it. 5 times 1 is 5, minus 3, close the parentheses, is equal to 1/3, times 24 times 1 is 24, plus 12. Inside the parentheses, 5 minus 3 is 2, so that's 6 times 2, which is 12. So that's the left side of the equal sign. On the right side, 24, that's 1/3, times 24 plus 12 is 36. 1/3 times 36, again, cross reduce, and you get 12. So it checks. Example B, I'm going to do the distributive property. It's 8x minus 10 is equal to 18 minus 6x. Add 6x for both sides. So that's 14x minus 10 is equal to 18. Add 10 to both sides. So that's 14x is equal to 28. Divide both sides by 14. 28 divided by 14 is 2. To check, 8 times 2 minus 10 is equal to 3 times 6 minus 2 times 2. That's 16 minus 10 is equal to 3 times, your order of operations, we multiply first, so that's 6 minus 4. 16 minus 10 is 6 is equal to 3 times 6 minus 4 is 2. 3 times 2 is 6, so it checks. Example 3a, we're going to do the distributive property. It's 15x minus 12, and bring down the minus 10x. Now, after we clear the parentheses, step 1, clear parentheses. Step 2, combine like terms on each side of equal sign. So look on the left side. I do not have anything to combine on the left side, but on the right side I have to combine 15x and a negative 10x. Now they are together on the same side, so I combine them. 15x minus 10x is 5x. Bring down the minus 12. Okay, now I'm going to subtract the 5x from both sides. Now look what happens. The 5x's cancel on the right side, and it also cancels on the left side. So when your variables go away, you bring everything else down. 15 is equal to negative 12. Is that a true or a false statement? We talked a little bit about this in chapter 1. This is a false statement. When your variables go away, you look what's left over. If it is a false statement, the answer is no solution, which is a 0 and a slash through it, or you can write no solution. Example 3b, we're going to do the distributive property and get 6b minus 3, bring down the minus 7, bring down the 6b minus 10. Now look on the left side. We need to combine negative 3 and a negative 7. The signs are the same. We combine and get negative 10. Now I can already tell that the left side is equal to the right side, and we talked about this in chapter 1. But I'm going to go ahead and move my 6b's because I want you to move your b's. And then bring down leftover. Negative 10 is equal to negative 10. The left side is equal to the right side. That is a true statement. And when it's true, the answer is all real numbers. Example 4, find the value of x so the figures have the same area. That means the area of this square, which the formula for area of a square is length times width, or side times side, or side squared, same thing. And the area of a rectangle is length times width. So the area of this square is x times 10, which is 10x. The area of this rectangle, now this is the length. This part is 3 and this part is x. So the whole amount is 3 plus x. The length is 3 plus x. So the area is length times width. So the area is the width, which is 6, times the length, which is 3 plus x. So now what we're going to do is we're going to put these two areas equal to each other to make our equation. 10x is equal to 6 times 3 plus x. Do the distributive property. I'm going to subtract the 6x from both sides. 4x is equal to 18. Running out of room, so I'm going to rewrite it right here. Divide by 4, which is reduced down to 9/2. Now, do I leave it as 9/2 or do I turn it into a mixed number? Because we're dealing with measurements, we turn it into a mixed number. So that's 4.5 centimeters. Here's a practice problem. This looks just like, I think it's number 4 on your homework, where you are going to multiply each term by the least common denominator. My least common denominator is 8. The 8's go away, so the numerator just falls out, so you get x minus 5 is equal to 4 goes in 8 2 times x is 2x. Now, because that 2x is sitting over there all by itself, we have to subtract the x on both sides. So that's negative 5 is equal to x, and that is your answer.